Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining me today on Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition. My name is Wendy Beckman, and I'm a registered dietitian with the New York State Office for the Aging and SNAP-Ed New York. And today I have with me Molly Capito, who is also a registered dietitian in Montgomery County, and she also works with SNAP-Ed New York. So she has a couple of different hats there, but her SNAP-Ed hat brings her into Fulton and Montgomery counties as well. So hello, Molly. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Hi, Wendy. Thanks for having me on today.
Sure. So we're going to be talking about farmers markets today. And you may say to yourself, what in the world do we need to talk about farmers markets for? But there's a few programs that older adults can take advantage of connected to produce and farmers markets and things like that. We're going to talk a little bit about those things today. We have a few resources for you that you can use. So Molly, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about your SNAP-Ed program in Fulton, Montgomery, and Herkimer counties, and tell me what you've been doing lately.
Sure. So, currently, as things are opening up, slowly, and things are looking more promising, I am hoping to head back out to do some in-person group workshop series with SNAP-Ed. I've had some pretty good success, over the past few months doing some virtual programs via Zoom. But I know people are really itching for more in-person programs. So I'm hoping certainly by the fall or, the end of summer to be able to do quite a bit more in person to do our two different workshop series that we do have available. The Eat Smart, Live Strong curriculum, and then the Eat Healthy, Be Active curriculum as well. So looking forward to doing that. As of, more so recently, I've been implementing our new program with SNAP-Ed, the little container garden program. So I've been heading out to senior housing sites to distribute little herb container garden kits to residents. And they're getting the chance to grow their own herbs to, utilize those herbs for cooking to kind of encourage folks to reduce their sodium intake. And to flavor their foods in alternative ways using very nutritious herbs. So I've been doing that as of recent.
Great, great. So when I actually had Carrie Skelton, who is another one of our SNAP-Ed nutrition educators in April, and we talked about container gardens. So that's one of the programs that we do through SNAP-Ed in some different regions of the state. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the things we can do is we can put Molly's email in the chat box, and that is a way for you to contact her. So if you are in Montgomery, Fulton, or Herkimer County, you can contact Molly. And especially if you yourself or someone who would like to maybe attend a nutrition education workshop or get information about the container garden program. And I know that you're also working on doing a food box program as well in your three counties. So that's a produce box that people are able to get through their local office for the aging. So, again, we'll be talking more about some of these programs as we go on. But I know that, Molly, you have some information that you would like to share with people. So, and I think you have a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I figured I'd create a little presentation today to make it a little bit more colorful as you guys listen in today. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. How does it look, Wendy? Everything good?
Yep, great.
So today, we're going to be talking about seasonal produce. So I figured I'd put together a quick little presentation to be able to help you guys to more visually, learn about this topic here. So what does it mean for produce to be seasonal? So it is produce that really was very recently harvested. And to harvest means to pick and to support your local farms and purchase their seasonal produce. And by doing so, you can eat seasonally. So why should we? So food made with seasonal produce tends to be fresher, more flavorful, and more nutritious than the food made with out of season produce. But I do want to note, when produce is not in season in your area, it is important and, certainly nutritious to take advantage of, whatever produce is out in the stores, whether it's coming even from, another country or another state. Certainly eating fresh is, healthy as well, even if it isn't out of season. But you might as well take advantage and reap the nutritional benefits of, that local fresh seasonal produce when it is available. So as we, get more into the summer months, certainly take advantage of that seasonal local produce nearest you. So fresh and local in-season produce is given the time to mature to peak ripeness prior to picking. And because of this, the produce contains more nutrients because it was given the time to ripen naturally on their parent plants. So again, that fresh local produce tends to actually have more nutrients for you because it was given the time to ripen. So moving on here. So why should we eat seasonally? Why is it so important for us? Not only are you supporting local farms, but you're also helping maintain local farmland, your community, and local food supports the local economy. Also, don't you kind of want to know where your food comes from when possible? So local growers can certainly, tell you how the food was grown. And even in your area, there may even be, organic produce available as well. And you can certainly, ask your local farmers, whether they use pesticides or not, if that is something that, you would rather, consume the organic produce. And also if you have, grandchildren in your family, it's a great opportunity to even have like a little field trip and bring them out to see where some of this local produce is coming from. And this may even entice them to eat more fruits and vegetables, or at least, be able to better understand where some of this fresh, colorful food is coming from. So how can you eat seasonally? So I figured I'd just share with you guys a pretty resourceful website that I came across. It's www.seasonalfoodguide.org. So when it comes to eating seasonally and how can you, you certainly first want to decide maybe what are you wanting to get for fresh and local produce, and see if any of your local farmers markets have this produce available. And this website is great for you to, refer to be able to check out, what is out there in your area. And you can also type in even, your state and, the month that we're in to see what is available and local, in your area. So, when it comes to trying to eat seasonally, you can certainly locate many local farms, farm stands, farmers markets nearest you by, going online or checking your local paper. Even local food co-ops may even have local produce available for you from local farms for you to purchase. I also heard that sometimes co-ops may even freeze some of the fresh berries and things like that for you to be able to purchase. So that's a great, option as well for you. I do want to mention there's a really nice website to go to. It's the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. And this is a great website to go to because you can type in your, area, your county, and it will actually tell you what programs each of your local markets participate in, which can help you to figure out, what can you utilize at that market to be able to help you to better afford that fresh and local produce there. So as I mentioned before in that previous slide, that website by the New York State Department of Agriculture and Market, their website is a great tool for you to use. One program that is out there and available for you to maybe utilize, depending on your eligibility, is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. In a little bit, Wendy's going to talk a little bit more about what that is. But other programs that maybe farmers markets near you can participate in include things like the Fresh Connect checks. They may accept SNAP benefits as well. But farmers do need to enroll into some of these programs, so not all farmers will accept some of these benefits or coupons or checks. So by going to this website, you can actually find out if some of these farmers markets will accept those programs. So I do want to mention, today here I am a SNAP-Ed New York educator, and Wendy is a facilitator also of the program. With our SNAP-Ed New York program, we tend to create food box distribution programs. So this may be another avenue for you to look into to help you to eat seasonally. Depending on your eligibility or not, you may be able to participate in this program near you. To find a SNAP-Ed New York program near you, you can certainly go to our SNAP-Ed New York statewide website. It is listed here on the PowerPoint. To find out about programs that I'm specifically involved in, you can email me. My email is down below here, or give us a call. I'm located out of the Montgomery County office, but again, I serve Fulton and Herkimer counties as well. So another way you could eat seasonally, I wanted to just mention today, is by maybe joining a CSA. So a CSA is also a community supported agriculture. That's what it stands for. It's a way of doing business for a farmer, and where a community of individuals will share the risks and benefits of food production with the farmer by purchasing a share of the farm's production before growing season. So this kind of allows for the farmers to have some funding ahead of time to help them to span across, their growing season. So in return, the buyer of a share will receive regular distributions from the farm throughout the season. Some CSAs, certainly will provide you with produce. There's even some for fresh flowers, some for meat and poultry, eggs or dairy. And distributions might be, weekly, every other week, or even monthly, depending. It may be, kind of pricey right up front for seasonal produce, joining a CSA. But again, you need to, take into consideration that you're paying ahead of time, for that whole season, and you're really helping out the farm. It may be a little bit too late for you to join a CSA this year. It may not be. But if it is, certainly maybe look into this in your area to be able to take advantage of it for next year. So just one last thing I figured I'd share too, when it comes to trying to eat seasonally, consider where you dine. We all, maybe try our best to prepare healthy foods at home to save money, certainly, and to eat healthy. However, we do dine out here and there. So when it comes to dining out, another thing to consider would maybe be to dine at restaurants who prepare their meals with local produce or local meat, poultry, eggs, or dairy. And by doing so, again, you're supporting your local economy, your local community, and those farmers that supplied the restaurant with that fresh produce and other items potentially. So that is the end of my little presentation here. I'll go ahead, Wendy, and close out of that.
Yep, that's great.
All
Okay,
right.
wonderful. So there are some questions in the chat box. I've actually been answering them by typing into the chat box, but then my moderator has to put them on Facebook as well. So I'm going to answer them verbally now also. So one of the questions was, how do we find our SNAP educators in other regions? And you can contact me directly at the New York State Office for the Aging, and I put my email in the chat box. So hopefully our moderator will put that in the chat box for you. It's wendy.beckman@aging.ny.gov. Unfortunately, we're not in every county in the state. The program that we run is federally funded through the U.S. Department of Agriculture through SNAP-Ed. So we are in, we're in 22 different counties right now, but that's not all of the counties, obviously. So if you contact me directly, you can do that by sending me an email, or you can visit snapedny.org, and you can search, they have a map and you can search in your region. Basically, the contact information that comes up is me. It's my email. So it's wendy.beckman@aging.ny.gov. So you can do it that way too, but you'll end up with my email again anyways. And that's honestly, that's really the easiest way to do it, just because we're not in every single county, and it starts getting confusing otherwise. So if you don't have a nutrition educator in your county that does the workshops, then you might be able to do something virtually. So you might be able to, in New York City, they do quite a few of their nutrition education workshops via Zoom. And so you might be able to join a workshop that way if you're comfortable with that. Andrea asked, how do you know what produce is in season? And so there was a link that Molly had in her presentation, and it's seasonal food guide, all one word, .org, O-R-G. And so I had put that in the chat box. Janet asked if strawberries are in season now, and depending on where you are in New York State, they might be. So I am just south of Albany, and my local, one of the larger farmers that I have in my area just started doing strawberry picking. So if you are farther north, strawberries might not be in season yet because it's a little bit colder up there. And so the growing season is a little bit later. Or if you are farther west, towards Buffalo, again, it might be a little bit later, but they might be in season. One of the good things to do is you can check if you have any local farmers and see what's going on in your area.
And even if you don't know, of some local farms or farm stands, one easy, quick way to find out about locations near you would be to even just go online, type in your area, type in farm stands. And, more often than not, many different places will pop up. Even on Facebook, you can do the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised of how many are, near you.
Right. Sort of with the exception of the New York City area, but
Right.
there are a lot of farmers markets and farm stands that go to New York City. So one of my local farmers goes to New York City every single week. There are a lot of upstate regions and farmers that travel to New York City, and we're about 2 hours away from New York. So it's worth it for them to travel that far. So that's what Barbara had asked, how can I find out about different programs like this? And let's see. So I think hopefully we got all of those in the chat box, the seasonal food guide. And then I'm going to share with you, Molly had shared it already. It's the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets website. And they have some really great resources on their website as well. So I'm going to share that again. I'm actually going to show you what that website looks like. So we will do that in just a minute. So I'm wondering so one of the things that I did was when I was last weekend, the weather was beautiful. It was actually a little bit hot, but I went to my local farmers market. So, and I shot some video when I was there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share that video for you. And that's going to take just a minute. Hopefully you can see that on your screen. Are you able to see that, Molly?
Yeah, looks great. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So this was my trip to the Kendrick Farmers Market. Oh, I didn't share my audio. So that's going to take just a minute. When I did it before, I did share my audio and it was fine. Let's see.
It's always tricky trying to navigate all this technology.
It is.
Getting everything to work when you want it to.
Exactly. And now, of course, I can't even remember how I did it, how I shared my audio. All right, so let's not do that just yet. I'm going to go back and I'm going to share my presentation instead. So let's do that because I have some information about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So that is a program that happens every year, and it is administered through the USDA and then through the New York State Department of Agriculture. So let me see, let's start. Okay, all right, are you able to see that?
Looks great, yes.
Excellent, okay, that worked. Let's do that. All right, so what is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? It's a program that provides eligible participants coupons to redeem for fresh local fruits and vegetables at participating farmers markets and farm stands. The purpose of the program is to promote local farmers by expanding their markets and the farm stands, and to foster healthy communities through the consumption of locally grown fresh fruits and vegetables. The New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets collaborates with the New York State Department of Health, the New York State Office for the Aging, and Cornell Cooperative Extension in administering the program. The program runs July 1st through November 30th. So checks will begin to be distributed on or around July 1st, and then the checks can be used by the participants at participating farmers markets and farm stands through November 30th. So even if you get your checks, July 1st, and then you sort of forget about them and you remember that you have them in August, you'll still have some time to redeem those checks. So who's eligible to receive the coupons? Adults who are 60 years of age and older and who are income eligible may receive Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons from their local senior centers, congregate meal sites, or the Department of Health Commodity Supplemental Food Program locations. Individuals who receive the Farmers Market Nutrition coupons must complete an attestation that they meet the income eligibility requirements. The attestation can be signed electronically by email or text message, or the older adult can assign a proxy to pick up their coupons for them at one of the distribution sites. And you can contact your local office for the aging to find out more information. So almost every county in New York State has an office for the aging, and you can, look it up online, the phone number and the email address for your local office for the aging. So what types of markets participate in the Farmers Market Nutrition Program? So all different kinds. So traditional farmers markets and farm stands and mobile markets. Any one of those three types of markets can participate in the program. But each market, as Molly had originally talked about, each market has to apply to the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets to participate. So farmers should not accept coupons if they haven't been accepted into the program. So it's very important that individuals who receive the coupons go to the correct farmers market. So market schedules are usually, a lot of times they're given to individuals when they receive the coupons. They might get a printout of that market or the markets in their area that do accept the coupons. But that list is updated every 2 weeks. So if it's been a little while since you received your coupons, you're going to maybe want to go online and check that list again, because it does change throughout the season. Now, signs are also posted at participating farmers markets and farm stands, and I'm going to show you what the sign looks like a little later in the presentation. But let's go and look at the website for the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. So this is the website, and it's the address is agriculture.ny.gov/farmers markets. So this is what it looks like. And if you scroll down to the bottom, this is where farmers can apply to become part of the program. If you scroll down to the very bottom, there's different lists, and it's alphabetically by county. So if you are in Albany County, you're going to click on this first one. If you're in Herkimer County, you're going to click on the second one. If you're in Saratoga County, you're going to click on the third one. So like I said, this is where the lists get updated every 2 weeks. And of course, New York City has their own list. There's also a list of mobile market schedules. So if you have a mobile market in your area, this list will tell you, when that mobile market comes around. It's every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and it goes to this location or whatever. And then there's farmers who have farm stands, and many times, the farm stand will be right at the location of the farmer, and that's what that list is. So again, that address is www.agriculture.ny.gov/farmers markets. So I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to go back to my screen here. So let's go to my next slide. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. Where am I at the bottom here? There we go. So certain food items are eligible that that you can purchase with the food coupons, and then there are other items that are not eligible. We'll go over that next. But the eligible food items are things like local vegetables. So cucumbers, potatoes, bok choy, lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, anything like that that is grown in New York State that is eligible to be purchased with a New York State Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupon. It has to be fresh, local, and unprocessed fruits and vegetables and culinary herbs. So certain things, local fruits, apples, peaches, berries, currants, pears, anything like that that's grown locally. Any pumpkins that are grown locally that are edible but not ornamental. Local
So no
mushroom.
boards or anything like that?
No, yep, correct. Anything that is just for a decoration and not to be consumed can't be purchased with the coupons, because the purpose of the coupons is to get people to eat local fresh fruits and vegetables. Any local mushrooms, I like that it says edible varieties. You don't want to get the poisonous non-edible ones. Hopefully nobody's selling those. And then local cut herbs for cooking, like basil, thyme, mint, etc. So, herbs that are in pots do not qualify, but if they're cut, then you can use those. And those things are, they can help you to sort of cut down on sodium, right? So you can add herbs and spices to your food instead of salt to help you to limit your sodium intake. So remember that sodium is one of the things that we want to limit or avoid. It can make things like high blood pressure worse, especially if you already have high blood pressure. So those are things that, to keep in mind. It can help you to eat more healthfully. So these are the ineligible food items. So these items can't be purchased with the Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons, and they are things like produce that is not grown locally, like bananas or avocados. Those things are not grown in upstate New York. Let's see, other things, painted pumpkins or ornamental gourds. Those are not eligible. Potted plants or potted herbs. Things like cut flowers, baked goods, juice or cider, eggs, meat, dairy products, jam, honey, and maple syrup. Those things are often sold at farmers markets. They are not eligible to be purchased with the Farmers Market Nutrition coupons because they're not produce, right? They're not fruits and vegetables. So even though some of these things, obviously meat and eggs, you can eat them, but they're not produce. So they don't meet the criteria there. Let's see, what else? What do we got going on here? So this is a copy of what the coupons look like this year. Every year the color is a little bit different. This year, excuse me, my allergies are killing me this year. This year they're a teal color. So participants in the program will receive 5 $4 checks for a total of $20. Each check has a barcode on it, and it's not associated with your name or anything like that. It's just the barcode is there so that the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets can determine if that check was redeemed or not. So in New York State, we actually have a really good redemption rate. A lot of the checks that are given out are actually redeemed. And so that's very positive. We love to hear that, because that means that people are using them, and that means that they're purchasing local fresh produce and hopefully eating it. So
now, Wendy, what if somebody wasn't able to make it out, and could their son or daughter go out and use their coupons?
Yes, that is a good point. Thank you.
Produce, right?
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Molly, for bringing that up. So yes, if you have a proxy, they can go and use those coupons for you. So it's absolutely okay for someone to have somebody else go to the farmer's market for them and purchase the food with those coupons. So that is a really
and even
great
if you're a resident of a certain county, and your son or daughter who's your proxy lives in another county, you could use these in either county, any county
Yes.
around across the state. So
that's correct. Right. It is a statewide program also.
Yep.
Very good point. Thanks, Molly. You can use these coupons basically anywhere in New York State. It's also good to note that if you are in a particular county and uh, happen to be, visiting family in a different county and your family member is going and picking up some coupons, you can get coupons in that other county too. You don't have to be a resident of the county that you pick the coupons up in. Now, they don't want you going every county around you and picking up coupons. When you fill out the attestation, you are saying, I meet the income eligibility requirements, plus I haven't gotten any coupons from anywhere else. So yeah, it is on the honor system, but we want you to get the fresh produce, but it's one coupon book per participant. So, and this is what the sign looks like. So these signs are actually posted at all of the farmers markets, farm stands that participate in the farmers market nutrition program. So if you see this sign, you know that you're safe. You do want to check that list. Like I said, we've had issues in the past where people have tried to bring their coupons to a farmer's market that doesn't participate and then gotten angry at the farmer for saying, I can't take them. So please don't get angry at the farmers if you ended up going to the wrong place. It's, they really shouldn't be accepting them if they're not in the program. But, that's really a great thing. Yes, so Barbara is asking, are the coupons only for use at the farmers markets or can they be used at local farm stands? They can be if the farm stand participates in the program. So Lily asked, can you use last year's vouchers this year? Unfortunately, the answer is no. So again, they're different colors every year. So the farmers, they know that it's not, if they participate in the program, they know that it's not the correct coupon. So last year they were like a light brown color and this year they're teal. So if you weren't able to use them last year, yeah, unfortunately can't use them this year. But, I encourage you, if you got them last year, I encourage you to go ahead and get them again this year. And I think that, last year, because of the pandemic, many of the local area agencies on aging had to get very creative in how they were going to distribute their farmers market coupons. So some people did them sort of like a drive-by and like you would, pick them up on your way through. Some people had them mailed to them. There were all different kinds of ways. People used proxies and had their proxy go and pick them up at the office for the aging or their senior site or wherever it was, so that the older person wasn't sort of, exposing themselves possibly to the COVID-19. Molly, did your office for the aging in Montgomery County do anything different last year for your farmers
Yeah, we
market
did.
coupons?
Like you said, we did one of those drive ups to our office. We had certain hours and days of, when you could come to our office and, you would, I think, beep or, call our office, somebody would come out, sign for them. So, usually we would go to different senior housing sites and table outside or go right in, prior to COVID, to
Right.
get distributed. We also even went to one of our local farmers markets and had a table there. So people could right then and there get their farmers market coupons, even utilize them there too.
Right.
So other counties do that as well, but they may. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really nice way to do it because, if you're at the farmer's market and you know that it already participates, then, you're already right there and you can use those coupons right away. So,
Yeah.
it's really, that's a great way to do it. Do you know, are they going to be doing anything differently this year? Since some of the restrictions for the pandemic have been lifted, or are they going to do the same thing in Montgomery County?
I think we might still do one of those, drive ups like we did last year. And I think we might head out throughout our county and table outside of different senior housing apartment sites and have folks come out and, pick up their coupons, sign for them. So we'll probably similar kind of situation and scenarios last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That sounds great. Okay, awesome. Do you have any favorite seasonal recipes that you know of, that you can think of?
Let me think. Well, I always love when zucchini's in season, and once zucchini's in season, you know, if you have your own garden or if you're out at the market, you know, once zucchini starts to grow, there's always so much, sometimes too much.
Yes.
But you know, roasting zucchini is great. And, you know, drizzling some olive oil on it, some garlic powder, some pepper, throwing in the oven, you know, at 400 degrees for 15, 20 minutes. Tastes really great. Sometimes zucchini, you know, if you boil it, you know, some of the nutrients will seep into the water and you're kind of depleting the vegetable nutrients. But if you're, you know, sauteing it up in a little pan on the stove or roasting it, you're not going to be losing some of those nutrients in the water because there's a lot of water soluble vitamins in a lot of our vegetables, and they get, you know, taken into that water when you're steaming them. And roasting, you know, roasting vegetables is great for a wide variety of vegetables. Like if you're not a big beet eater, or Brussels sprouts, carrots, they're all great vegetables to roast in the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I have to admit that I always look forward to zucchini bread,
Mhm.
right? It's
Yeah.
sometimes I think that, you know, especially if you grow zucchini or you know someone who grows zucchini, you know that,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes it really does sort of grow like a weed. So I
Yeah.
use that as an excuse to make some zucchini bread.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Another
yep.
thing I do too in the summer, you know, it gets so hot, so sometimes you don't want to turn on your oven. But I have one of those griddles,
Yes.
you know, on top of your counter. So I'll throw my vegetables on there and kind of roast them on there, you know, with a little drizzle of some healthy avocado or olive oil with some seasoning. And it usually is much quicker too than throwing them in the oven. And you're not heating up your kitchen like you would your oven, you know,
Yes.
heating and cooking them in there for 20 minutes. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you know, we're actually, so in July, we're going to talk about grilling. It's going to be all about grilling. So I'm going to do a food demo this month, and it's going to be apricot lemon chicken. And that's a great thing to do on the grill, but you can do it in your oven as well, you know, with the broiler or baking it. But then in July, we're going to talk about how to make vegetables on your grill. So that's, you know, that's a really great way to do it. I love cooking outside because it tends to be a little bit less of a mess than when I'm cooking inside. We love to asparagus. I think zucchini is a great one of those roasting vegetables. Almost any root vegetable is good to roast. You know, carrots, onions, anything like that. You know, you can even
I've
make.
heard corn even. I don't know if you've ever done corn on the cob. Yeah.
I have not. I've
I haven't
eaten
either,
corn.
but I've seen things online, you know.
Yeah.
It always looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. I've eaten corn that's been
Mhm.
made on the grill, but I haven't done it myself. So
Mhm.
that might be something that I have to try. Debbie is
And sometimes
asking.
corn gets a bad reputation, but you know, take
Mhm.
advantage of fresh local corn.
Yeah.
Corn's a whole grain. It's a vegetable. It's okay to be eaten in moderation, certainly, and
Yep.
it's certainly
Right.
one of the big things in the summertime to have, you know, locally here.
Absolutely. So, right, it's considered a starchy vegetable like a potato or peas or corn, right? Those are starchy vegetables. And if someone is watching their carbohydrate intake, then they might be a little bit more aware of that because corn certainly has more carbohydrates in it than like green beans or a carrot or something like that. But you know, it again, you know, I think you're right. It's part of a healthy diet. You know, you just
Mhm.
have to be mindful of your portion sizes and things like that. And the summer would not be complete if I didn't have some corn on the cob at some point.
Right.
So, you know, that's a really great way. I get a lot at one of my local farm stands. You know, it's very, quite honestly, it's cheap. I don't, you know, like they'll give you 13 ears of corn for it's not expensive. So that's one of the things that, Molly, can you talk a little bit more about how, you know, you talked about it a little bit in your presentation about eating seasonally, but how can that help with the cost of fruits and vegetables?
Right. Well, you know, fresh local produce does tend to be relatively affordable. You know, it's going to be cheaper getting it local. You know, other produce that's not from around here, they're going to jack up the price because they have to take into consideration, the cost it took to transport it here. And really our fresh local produce is packed with nutrients because it's really not picked until it's at that peak freshness. So it's got all those vitamins and minerals in there. And, it's great to take advantage of the local produce when it's here. And freezing, that fresh local produce that you get in the summer is a great thing to do because that freezer helps to lock in the nutrients in those fruits and vegetables. And, you can enjoy the produce, months from now, once you take it out of that freezer and incorporate it into your dishes in the fall or even in the winter, if you store
Right.
the temperature in the freezer.
Yep. So, I think it's important to note that, well, there are certain fruits and vegetables they will ripen after they've been picked. Certain fruits and vegetables will not ripen if after they have been picked off the vine. But many fruits and vegetables that maybe are in the grocery store, especially so in the middle of winter in upstate New York or in all of New York, basically, it's pretty hard to get local produce, right? You can't do that. There's not too many things, some root vegetables and things like that might be local, but that's about it. So, when things are like strawberries, for example, will ripen after they've been picked. So they're picked when they're still sort of white, and then they put them in the containers, and then they may ship them from California or wherever else to New York State. And those berries, so that's when, Molly is talking a little bit about how, local stuff can be picked much closer to its actual ripening date because it's not going as far. It's not going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get here. So that's why, it can be sometimes a little bit, you could argue that it's more nutritious because you picked it closer. Now, let me say the caveat is that any fruit or vegetable that you eat is better than the fruit or vegetable that you don't eat. So absolutely anything, we're going to encourage you to try and eat as many fruits and vegetables as possible. Make half your plate fruits and vegetables at every meal if you're able to, because those fruits and vegetables are really beneficial for our health. They have fiber in them. They help us feel full longer. They have lots of water in them. And they're loaded with vitamins and minerals that are not in other types of foods. So, eat as many different colorful things as possible because each each food item has different minerals and vitamins in them. So that is why we encourage people to eat as many different fruits and vegetables as possible. So in this growing season in New York State, go out and get as many different things as you possibly can, because the more colors that you eat, the more you'll be exposing yourself to some of those phytonutrients that are found in fruits and vegetables. So even though, some things that are grown locally might be a little bit more nutritious, just eat it, right? If it's out there, don't reject something and say, well, this is not as nutritious as something that was picked locally, because if it's something that you can purchase and it's affordable to you, and let's say it's frozen and it's more affordable, it's on sale, and it's going to work better for you because it'll last longer because you can keep it in the freezer, then that's the one that I want you to get. So even though we're trying to encourage you to eat fresh local produce because we want you to do that, it's important to sort of pick what works best for you and what works for your lifestyle. So Barbara's asking,
and even like the canning and the canning,
yeah, no, go ahead.
the freezing process, like they even lock in the nutrients, from that are within whatever is canned or frozen. So
Yes. Yes.
Certainly having store brand, name brand, canned, frozen, fresh, dried, they all can bring us vitamins and minerals and fiber.
Right, exactly. And I absolutely agree. Like you actually were just talking about that. You could take fresh local produce and then can it or freeze it or something like that. And then it sort of like locks in those nutrients. Well, that's the same for anything that's frozen or canned. Those vegetables tend to be picked at their peak freshness and then frozen and processed right then and there. So it locks in some of those things. So, there's absolutely nothing wrong with frozen or canned fruits and vegetables. And I encourage people to use those. especially if they're
And-
more affordable for them. Yeah.
And one way to kind of prepare your vegetables to be frozen would be to blanch them. So, you boil up some water, throw in your vegetables after you've rinsed them into that boiling water for just a few minutes, and then throw them either into like some ice cold water or just an ice bath. Dry them off, and then you can throw them into a freezer safe or, plastic bags to throw into your freezer to have
Yep.
later on.
Right, right. And that's a little bit easier than canning. Canning that's a little nitty gritty. If you're going to can something, you want to make sure that you're doing it with sterile containers. So you have to boil the containers, and there's a whole process with that. So if that's something you're interested in, that's great. It's actually something that I have not ever gotten into because I was like, that's just a little too much for me.
I've only done like refrigerator canned things, like I've made refrigerator canned pickles, but
Okay.
not officially done pickling either or canning.
Right, right, right. Because, and if you do it that way, they will last in the refrigerator for a while, but not as long as if you've canned something into a sterile environment and then you have the seal on the can and the whole 9 yards. So
Right.
yeah. But I know that some people do it. Barbara was asking, are the coupons only for use at farmers markets? Yes, we answered that. Sorry about that. Debbie, when will the centers have the coupons? Hopefully by July 1st, usually right around then. If it's not right on July 1st, it'll be right around that time. So
And it tends to be some point certainly in July. And, when you think about it here in New York State, not a lot of things really are fresh and ready in the beginning of July or beginning of June anyways.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And I'll show that. I think I figured out how to do my video. So I'll show that in just a second.
Or I meant July. I said June, but I meant July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I just went last weekend and it was June. And so there wasn't a lot. There was some stuff, but it wasn't like, in August, you've got, a lot more to choose from.
Absolutely.
Are the coupons per family or per senior in the family? I think it's per senior. I don't know that for sure. But again, if you contact your local office for the aging, they can tell you the answer to that. I believe.
And actually, I believe it's, anybody 60 or older is eligible to live in the same house. You can both get them. And then the income is dependent on if you're, a household of 1, 2,
or 2. Yep.
All of your incomes are considered.
Yep. And Rebecca is asking, how can I find out if I'm eligible? So you're going to contact your Erie. She's from Erie County. You're going to contact the Erie County Office for the Aging and tell them you're interested in the Farmers Market Coupon Nutrition Program. And they will be able to let you know what that income eligibility requirement is. It does depend on your household size. So I don't want to give you like a list of numbers because
and it does change every year. They change the income guidelines.
Yep. Right. So I think I figured out how I can do this. So I'm going to share my screen again. So I'm going to try and show you the video from my local farmers market. So hopefully
the audio works.
Okay.
Hello everyone. I'm in Columbia County today at the Kinderhook Farmers Market. Let's go see what's going on.
So there you can see there was a lot of lettuce, a lot of leafy greens. There were a little bit of squash, some summer squash and some zucchini. There were some scallions. There were some radishes, but mostly like leafy things. So that's what we get sort of the beginning of the season. And then as we go on further, there'll be more zucchini, there'll be carrots, there'll be tomatoes and things like that, more berries. So, earlier I had said that, we just started getting berries around here. So, it's a little bit different in different parts of the state. Sylvia is asking if I made the quilt behind me, and the answer is yes. I am a quilter. I don't have as much time to do it as I would like to, but I actually made this one about 20 years ago.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to make a different one because this one usually hangs upstairs in my hallway, and I'm in my living room right now. So I want to make another one that can be my Zoom background. But thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate that. And I'm trying to think. So, sometimes I just sort of, with the vegetables that I get at the farmer's market, I will go and see what they have. And of course, one of my favorite things about going to the farmer's market is I can bring my dog with me. That was my dog, Lily. And she just loves people and she loves going to the farmer's market. So I can't bring my dog to the grocery store. So I can bring Lily with me.
Sometimes they'll have music too, which is kind of nice.
Yep.
Entertainment. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And that day they were doing, it was like National Bike Day or something like that. And so it's a whole community thing. So that's one of the really nice things about the farmers markets too, is they had people on bikes, and they had people who brought their old bikes with them, and, selling them, whatever, for $5 a piece, trying to recycle old bikes and things like that. So, there's all kinds of really neat things going on at the farmers market. Now, the one in Kinderhook does not participate with the Senior Farmers Market nutrition coupons. So another thing to realize is that, Molly, you had mentioned that some farmers markets take SNAP benefits, right? So if you have if you receive SNAP, you can use your EBT card at some farmers markets. Is there a place where we can search for those farmers markets?
And actually on that New York State Agriculture and Markets website, it will say if farmers markets accept SNAP or the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. It will list out those that do.
All right. So this is the website again. And it's here you can find a market. And I think that's all of the markets, whether they participate in SNAP or the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program or not. Let's see. So is it in here with the Farmers Market Nutrition Authorized Markets? Is that where the SNAP ones are listed also?
I believe so. I think it will list there too.
Let's look.
If it
Let's see
SNAP.
what it brings up. Let's see. On the farmers market. Oh, I'm not seeing that, but that's okay. So I would go to Ag and Markets, go to the Ag and Markets program website and see if you can find that.
If you dive into that website, there is some section on there that does specify if
SNAP
do accept SNAP. I had found it somewhere. Can't tell you off the top of my head if it's on there, but if you have 5-10 minutes, you'll find it in there at some point.
Right, it's on there somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
They have lots of information on there, so
oh yeah,
find something informative on there. Yeah.
Yep. And one of the things to think about is so if you're looking for recipes on how to use sort of some local fresh produce, you can, again, we've shared the SNAP-Ed New York website. So SNAPED, SNAPEDNY.org. They have tons of recipes on there. It is a new website they sort of upgraded last year, and they've slowly been working on adding more recipes. And just in the last few weeks, I've noticed that there are more recipes on there, which is a good thing. Because I know in the past, it was a little bit like looking for something and I can't find it. And they have a lot more on there now. Rose is asking, to freeze bananas, do you have to peel them? And the answer is yes. So I freeze bananas all the time, and I do use them to make banana bread. I do peel them ahead of time. You have to keep in mind that when you freeze a banana, when you thaw it out, it sort of comes out like mush. And the reason for that is because there's the water inside the banana. When it freezes, it expands, just like, you know, an ice cube. Like if you put it in an ice cube tray, the ice cube sort of gets bigger, right? And then it breaks the cells inside the banana, and so the liquid sort of comes out. But you can use those. It looks sort of weird. It sort of freaked me out the first time I did it, but I put it into my banana bread recipe and it came out just fine. So yes, peel them ahead of time. If you peel them or if you freeze them with the peels on, you will have a mess when they thaw out.
Another thing not to forget is, like, if you're freezing your strawberries, that will be more in season pretty soon. Be sure to take off the leaves and not, you know, freeze them with the leaves on.
Yes. Yep. Do you find that you need to blanch the fruit also before you freeze them, or not so much?
You know, I have not done that before. But I don't know. Have you tried that, Wendy? I don't know if that's worth trying.
I've heard of other people who have to freeze things like berries, what they do, you know, they'll rinse them first. And I think it's a good idea to remove any stems or leaves, and then they'll spread them out on a cookie sheet and then put them in the freezer and freeze them that way. So
that works great with blueberries, so they don't clump together. Yeah.
Yep. So they don't stick together, and then you can, once they're completely frozen, you can take them and put them into a Ziploc bag and leave them in your freezer. But I think that that's it. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone who typed in some questions. We love answering your questions, and thank you to Molly so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Ask the Experts. We really do appreciate it. The next time I am going to be on the New York State Office for the Aging Facebook page is June 25th at 11:30. Like I mentioned before, we're going to do What's Cooking with Wendy, and we're going to talk about apricot lemon chicken. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then
that sounds so good. I'm going to certainly be joining in on that and watching.
Yep, that's a recipe on the SnapEd New York website too. The next time we're going to do Ask the Experts is on July 9th. And we're going to be talking about grilling. And then I believe on the 23rd of July, I will do another What's Cooking with Wendy, and we are going to talk about grilling vegetables and how to do that, how to prepare them on the grill. So I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks a lot, everybody. Stay safe out there. Bye, Molly.
Thank you. Bye, Wendy.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
You too.